Well, there you have it. Those are the opinions of Nigerians like you and I and all of us in here. And so let's come back to the table this morning where we will be opening up the discussion, which we have set its tone. Mrs. Omobolanle Adedeji is here with us. She's an entrepreneur.
Yeah, she is the creative director of Whoopi Young Fashion House. And interestingly, she studied demography and social statistics. And you wonder, creative director of a fashion house. In short, she's a tailor.
I'm telling you. I mean, so
good morning and thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Hello, Mr. Adedeji. Okay, so you heard the voices of people there, and we're looking inward this morning. How? Okay, let me even begin on this premise. Pre-COVID-19, for crying out loud, Nigeria was always faced with the unemployment index.
Yes.
And so, let's start from there.
Okay, so unemployment is one of the greatest social problems that we have in Nigeria, apparently. And then recently, Nigeria topped the charts with the poverty index.
Oh, yeah.
So, for me, both of them intertwine. You can't be rich if you don't have something that is making money for you. And then, most of us graduates,
Right.
we rely so much on our certificates. We depend so much on our certificate. We don't look beyond what the certificate can bring for you, especially some of us that finish with 2-1 and first class. We so much believe on that, our degree, that we don't look at alternatives. And unfortunately, I didn't know this until I started working in the corporate world, that there are so many skills that as a graduate I don't have until I started working. For example, it was a challenge for me the first time to make ordinary photocopy. It was a challenge for me.
I hear you.
So many of us don't actually have these skills. And then when we talk about skills again, we also think skills has to do with maybe tilers, tailors, bricklayers and all. It goes beyond that. But which I believe is one of the reasons why we keep having our unemployment rates refuse to go down, because we are too dependent on our certificates. We refuse to get employability skills, and then some of us refuse to look beyond what the four wall of the university has equipped us with. So that's basically is one of the challenges that we have as a country.
Going by your profile, you actually had the opportunity to work with your certificates at some point or the other. So what was that thing? What was the driving force that made you think, oh, I'm not sure I can stay in this place?
Okay, there's no work that doesn't have its own challenge, like we all know. For me, fashion has always been a passion. I always wanted to do anything that has to do with fashion. I wanted to sew, I wanted to do modeling, I wanted to do makeup, I wanted to do so many things, everything that has to do with fashion actually. But then it was like a side hustle or like a hobby for me while I was working. And like most Nigerians too, I would already have the skill before I left university, but I dumped the skill. I was looking for white-collar jobs until I got the white-collar jobs, and I realized that I can't make impact where I am. And I'm a social scientist. Like you read in my profile, I'm a demographer. I realized I can't make impact where I am.
Why? What gave you that realization?
Okay, so because I work with NGO as a data analyst, and I realized that most of the impacts that the NGOs are making are actually fantastic, but we need to do more than just handing people food. We need to let them know how to actually get food themselves. We can't continue to spoon feed adults. At a point, you need to start thinking of how to get food themselves. So for me, when I left at the NGO, the picture didn't come out straight. I didn't know how to make it work, but I knew I wanted to make impact. And I tried this and that, and eventually I realized that facing the educated unemployed is what would actually make impact. Because one of the reasons why most people don't believe they can actually make it through these vocational skills is because we lack successful mentors in that field. Not really because we lack them, but because everybody is just on their own. We have so many rich tailors in Nigeria. I don't want to do advert for anybody, but I know a couple of them that are doing fantastically well. And then if we look at the Western world, you will see that our fashion designers are one of the people that are actually really very, 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 very rich. And then we need to look into this for me, and then that was how the vision for Fashion for Dev, Fashion for Dev means Fashion for Development, started. That I will get as many youth into thinking of how to get something doing. While you are waiting for NYSC, get a skill. While you are in school, ASU strike, whatever it is, get a skill. Because I started during ASU strike. And then also, while waiting for the white collar job, get a skill. Eventually, you might not end up using your university certificate to work like I'm doing now. And then to be frank, most of the things that I've achieved in my life are through fashion, not with demography and social statistics. Although, because I'm educated, it actually helped me to do my own fashion differently. So that is why education is important. I'm not going to say it's not. It is obviously important, which is why I'm doing things differently. And then based on my background, that is how I could think of social impact with fashion.
Okay, well, I've seen a number of different instances, but one thing is very peculiar. There seems to be an image that people who engage in craft, plumbing, carpentry, fashion designing, and all of that. Now, to the clients themselves, and who knows who those clients are, they could either be educated elite or uneducated, there's an image that comes with the person who runs a craft. They look upon you as either, not having that requisite education, or it's just a trade that doesn't put you in the spotlight. And so many also have this impression that going into things like these would make me look less of a person in society as regards status. And so how do you deal with that?
Okay, so like I said, every career has its own ups and downs. One of the downs in being an artisan in Nigeria is that people look down on you. They think you're poor, you're uneducated, you don't know what you're doing. And then some of them come into your space and with that attitude. But customer care is important in any business. As an entrepreneur, customer care is important. You need to swallow your pride, one. You need to bury your ego, and then act professionally. And there are some of them that come and talk to you, and then by the time you speak and then you calm them down, they eventually realize that this is not a normal tailor. And then sometimes, and then also your skill. It is another thing to be able to speak English. It's another thing to have the required skills. Before you can be known and be in spotlight in whatever you are doing, you must perfect your skill.
All right, we'll go for a short commercial break. Right now, we'll be back.
Cadbury Hot Chocolate 3-in-1, a delicious combination of rich cocoa and wholesome goodness of milk. Just add hot water to get an instant chocolatey treat. Cadbury Hot Chocolate 3-in-1. Just add hot water.
Mid-morning show. Keep watching back. If you change the channel.
You're welcome back. It's still the mid-morning show, and we still have in the studio Mrs. Omobalanle Adedeji. She is an entrepreneur, a creative director of Wobinyon Fashion House. Before we went for the commercial break, I was thinking about, okay, it's good to have the skill. It's good to have a plan B, so to say. But what about the environment to thriving? also putting into consideration what we all have found ourselves in globally?
Okay, I'm not going to be a motivational speaker and start this aspire to aspire.
Well, yeah, give it to us in very practical terms.
Okay, so entrepreneurship is a hard field in Nigeria because there are so many conditions that doesn't want you to thrive. There are so many things that are going to challenge you. The number one cliche in Nigeria is electricity. It makes our cost of production really expensive. For example, what I'm wearing, a simple top that could actually come out for like 1.5, but because you have to factor in electricity and all that, it's coming out like 2.5, and then it makes it difficult for us to compete favorably with our counterparts across the globe, especially China. Although I believe that Nigeria has the manpower to drag the market with China, but the electricity development states, our policies, so many things just make it difficult for entrepreneurs to really work hard. So in the entrepreneurship world, you have to make up your mind that this business I will survive, because it's not for the fainted heart, because this is just, that's how it is. Like I said earlier, there's no field of work, whether you want to work in the office or anywhere, that is easy. I've worked in the office before. I know it's not easy. So you just need to make up your mind and say, this is going to work for me no matter what the policy is saying. And then recently there's this, I don't know, there's these charges that is killing entrepreneurs also. Each time a client transfer money to your account, there's a certain percentage that is going that you can't charge your clients, because they're kind of like, even the 2,000 I'm bringing, I'm trying. So it makes things actually really difficult, but you just have to make up your mind to thrive. And then, how do I say it? There's no shortcut. You just have to make up your mind to thrive in Nigeria. That's just it. But since I'm on TV, I'm hoping somebody somewhere will hear this. Please help entrepreneurs thrive. If you can't fix the electricity, please remove all these charges for us. Please remove all these charges for us. It's too much.
Well, that is a totally different conversation, you know, when we're looking at those policies and how they're implemented or not. Now, another thing that one would want to consider when going into entrepreneurship that I have also observed is the duplicity of trade. Now, you know, there's a tailor here, you walk a few clicks away from that shop, you find another one, and, you know, it goes on and on and on. And so, but this could form a sense of discouragement for those who feel, okay, why should I jump into a trade that already has a teeming number of people involved? And so one wonders, what would be the mindset such thinkers should have?
Okay, like you rightly said, most of the things that we do, for example, the sewing business is a red ocean. You need to find a way of surviving. And then how do you survive? Perfect your skills. There's so many tailors on your street that are not that skilled. So by the time they mess up people's clothes, they end up coming to you because you have mastered your skills, you have perfected your skills. And then hopefully those ones will learn eventually that they need to also perfect their skills to get people coming to them. And then another thing is that, of course, there are a lot of tailors on my streets, right, but we don't offer the same services. That's another thing that people don't understand. I train people, I train young people. I don't train everybody. I don't train people who want to learn fashion for fun. I don't train them.
How would you tell?
I ask them questions. I interview them and they don't know. Despite the fact that you are bringing in money, I still don't take you because my success story will not come from you. And I want to be successful. How do I become successful? European Fashion School will succeed when I have a lot of my students running their own business, not somebody sitting down. So there are some other tailors that would take those ones in. So we do different things. Again, I focus more on ready to wear. I want to challenge the Western world. I want to tell Nigerians that there's nothing they're doing in the Western world that we can't do in Nigeria. So I only do a little bit of ashwebi. This is what I do. Basically, I do office wears, casual wears, and all that. So we don't do the same thing. They would always get their own clients, and I will always get my own clients. Ashwebi is just.
So what you're saying is, what about competition? One always thought competition is healthy. Isn't that something that also spices the trade?
Yes, now competition make the business fun. Actually, it makes it tough and at the same time make it fun. There's no trade you will go into that there is no competition. I'm sure on your street you will see about 15 to sometimes 20 people selling pepper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you have your own client, you have your own customer that you trust and go to all the time. So that's how it is in everything. There's so many people selling gari
in the market.
In the market, but there's a guy called the gari guy that packages gari, and he's selling it better than any of them, and he's rich from selling gari. So
You're right.
We'll go for another break. Right now, we'll be back. You're welcome back. It's still the Mid-Morning Show, and we still have in the studio our guest, Mrs. Omobolanle Adedeji, and that was an African proverb that says you can blame a man for pushing you down, but you have to blame yourself. You have yourself to blame for refusing to get up. This brings us to people, youths. Like we mentioned earlier, that sometimes, there is this... you don't have the opportunities, you don't have the right environment. And so whatever you try, you just fall. But sometimes, you know that getting up also requires a skill.
Yeah, very true.
It also requires a skill. So if you have been knocked down by either the government or whatever, the economic situation
or some
in the country,
sabotage,
how do you get up?
You already answered the question yourself. The skill. When somebody wants to knock you off, it's a skill. I'm trying to, is it Muhammad Ali? I guess it's Muhammad Ali. Like, everybody come with a strategy until they get knocked off in the face. So everybody come like, I'm going to knock off Muhammad Ali, and then they keep hitting at him. It's a skill. They master the skill. They think they can hit him, and then it come and give them one blow, and that's it. It's a skill. Muhammad Ali also practiced so much that he doesn't have to throw so much punch at his opponent before kicking them off. So once somebody knock you off, while you are there, think of how did that happen, and then how will I prevent this not happening again? Then get up, dust yourself. People will laugh at you while you're on the floor because you are dirty and all. Take the shame, not clean yourself up, perfect your skill, continue. By the time you get to a certain stage where people think you will never get to, the same set of people that were laughing at you will come and meet you and ask you, how did you do it? We saw you on the floor a couple of minutes ago and you were all dirty. How did you get up clean? So you can't you can't stay on the floor because somebody, like the proverb said, you can't stay on the floor because somebody knock you off. If you stay on the you will be stampeded. You will be stampeded. So you need to find a way of getting up and then perfect your skills, keep working on. And then one thing I doff my heart for Nigerians is our doggedness. We we just want to survive somehow.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you've been a member of the Lioness of Africa, a committee member of the African Youth SDG Summit. That was 2018.
Yes.
Then and now, do you have things to show for?
Okay, so African Youth SDG is just talking about African youth working in the SDG is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So it's just what we do is we encourage as many youth as possible to understand what the goals are, and then look into what you are doing and see how one of the goals align with what you are doing. Promote the goals, because really we can't wait for government to achieve the goals. Government can't provide employment for everybody. For example, the number one goal says eradication of poverty. Government can't do that. We have to do it ourselves. The one that I work with, Goalhead, creation of decent jobs to foster economic development. Government can't do that all by themselves. Government cannot provide employment for everybody. They can't provide decent job for everybody. And from my experience, most civil servants are not even happy with their salary. So we can't wait for government to do everything. And then most of the Western world, what makes them thrive is simply entrepreneurship. Why is China the world power right now? Entrepreneurship. We need to tell ourselves that we can't wait for government for everything. If you wait for government for everything, you are going to be hungry. You're going to be out of job. And then even this pandemic, government can only tell us use face mask, you do this, do that. It depends on you whether you want to live or not. Do you want to expose yourself to the COVID or not? So everything has to do with us, the young people. For example, Nigeria has a high population of youth. We can't leave everything to government. We can do it if we want to. That's what African Youth SDG is about. And then the Lioness of Africa is about young women doing stuff in their space. What are you doing? What are you trying to do to change your community? We have to do it one by one. For example, my motto is changing life one person to the other person. You can't, I can't help everybody in Ibadan, but at least I can help people in Idiorogu, Adioyo, where I am. And that is what Fashion for Dev is, Fashion for Development. So we try to train as many people as possible, especially the educated youth who still think there's a job out there. There is no job out there. Entrepreneurs can create a job if we all think of how to make our businesses thrive. For example, if I employ 2 people, that's 2 people out of the 25 million people that are unemployed in Nigeria. If the 2 people are empowered and they employ another 2 people, the ripple effect is what we need to start looking at. Right now, it's not looking as if we're doing anything, but if we continue with the way we are, in the next 10-5 years, we'll probably be dragging the world power with China.
Okay, but when you look at the forecasts, there are a number of bodies that have given forecasts, the World Bank, the United Nations, the World Food Program and all of that. They have very dire forecasts in the picture as a result of COVID-19, a loss of jobs, another 5 million people going into poverty, and then the shortage of food supply. How does one work as an entrepreneurship with these forecasts? What are your plans?
Okay, so because I'm a social scientist, we look at this thing in a different way. Some people might look at it and say, hey, we're going to all die of hunger. But as a social scientist, I look at it, this is a social problem. When you see a problem, there must be a solution for it, except we don't want to think deep. If we think deep, there's a solution for it. There are some people, there are a lot of young, probably because they work with in the SDG area, I see a lot of young people doing a lot of things. There are a lot of young people going into agriculture right now. So when the forecast came, I believe that it didn't shake me really that bad, because I know a lot of young people are doing a lot of wonderful things. Some of them that studied mechanical engineering in school are now mechanizing their farming with combining their
knowledge they have.
School knowledge with the agricultural field. So I don't think if we don't do anything, yes, those forecasts will come to reality. But if we do something and we say, okay, this is a social problem, how do I solve this problem? And then how do I make money from solving this problem? That's what entrepreneurship is. There's a problem of unemployment. I'm trying to empower educated youth. There's so many people in other fields doing the same thing. People build houses every time. I have somebody who's doing red bricks and all. So, and then from the research, from them, red bricks last longer than most of these blocks that we do. So these are the things. Somebody saying that we're going to be hungry, and then a lot of young people are coming up, and then they don't even wait for weather to water their farm produce. There are so many young people going to turkey, fish, chicken, and all that. So this is food. This is food coming up. We just need to. What I think we need to do more now is for us young people is to collaborate more, and then process this thing into finished products, other than waiting for market, and then some of these things, especially the agricultural produce, some of these things get spoiled before it gets to the final consumer. So there are so many things we could think of as young people, and then we collaborate, we work together. Even as a fashion designer, there are so many things we could do. One day we could just wake up and form an association of fashion designers and say, okay, we're not buying fabric from outside Nigeria. We're going to be we're going to be having our own fabric here, and then we're going to be building our economy. We can't continue to be sending money outside the country, and then we keep blaming government for our forex that is dwindling. All of us want to buy German cars. We want to buy Dubai gold and all those kind of. We can't do the same thing in Nigeria. We just need to look inward, and then we will be fine.
Now, you mentioned earlier that, well, yes, we cannot leave everything in the hands of the government.
Yes.
But let's not also forget that life is a cycle. And then the ripple effect, like you mentioned earlier, comes back to you. For instance, I am a government worker. You are an entrepreneur, and we have a series of entrepreneurs out there. If I don't get paid on time, okay, for instance, this COVID-19 period, I don't have much, or my salary has been slashed and all sorts. How do I come to you? Or, you know, how do I? Okay, so how do you render your services to me?
Okay, so money. As a civil servant, you also need to look beyond your salary.
Really?
Yes.
True talk.
That there are some things you can do that are not so time consuming that you could actually do as side hustle. And then eventually it could even be your retirement plan eventually, rather than waiting till you get all your retirement benefit and you're not sitting and you're not thinking, so what do I do with this? What business do I do? At that age, you might not be sharp enough to think like young people. But at the same time, like the interview said, we wait for the end of the end of the month. We do after sales for civil servant. We do after sales for civil servant, and then we hope they don't default and they pay us on time. And then, but the truth of the matter is, we all need to look beyond the single stream of income. That's just the truth. Even as an entrepreneur, you can't. I can't say because I'm known in the fashion world. Then I'm fine. I'm okay. I will now sit down and be feeling like one boss. No, I need to think of something else. Probably something related to fashion. I could wake up and say, okay, let me be making threads and be selling. And then I could think, okay, let me be making fabrics. It could be anything. We can't all sit down and think we're all fine with whatever income we are. There are other opportunities out there. The reason why all these rich people are rich is because they invest in so many other things. So you could, as a civil servant, you guys need to join us in the entrepreneurship race and be making small money too.
Well, okay. So now artisans generally in Nigeria have a certain reputation when it comes to delivering their service. And that reputation is very bad timing. And under that column fall tailors, a very large, bunch of them. Fall under this bracket. You give them a job, you don't get it until the day you need to use that particular garment. And sometimes the garment turns inside out. In fact, I had a case of somebody who he was already supposed to be at the wedding, and then he collected his piece of fabric that day, or the garments rather, and his pockets were behind. There was an error, and obviously that was way too late to have been corrected.
Okay.
What's your story?
Okay, so for me, this has been a tradition that has been ongoing. That few of us that are educated are trying to change that mindset. We're trying to change that narrative. Is one of the reasons why one of the reasons why I learned sewing was because of disappointment, actually, and I made it I made it important for my staff and I that would rather not collect it than collect it and not deliver. So one of the things that cause all these things is I'm going to push it back to you guys again.
Oh no!
You guys want to use your for example, the last layer period. Most people went to the market Monday, Tuesday to purchase their fabric for a layer that they want to collect
on Friday
and use on Friday. So you already plan to disappoint yourself.
A handicap.
Yeah. And then the tailor that COVID has been making us jobless for a very long time. Then 10 of you came with clothes, and then again all of you are saying, 1,000, Amazon, we all want to pay 1,000. And then this guy is looking like, if I collect 1,000, this thing will not pay me. Okay, but if I collect it 10, that's 10,000. That one is okay for me. He's going to disappoint him at least 4 people. So this is the issue. You underpay us, and then you mount pressure on us. But this is something that those of us that are educated are trying to change. If you can't wait for our timing, go to those that will solve for you.
Bad timing was a blanketed Nigerian problem as well. I mean, if you're talking about education now, is that really what's in the picture? Is that
probably education, or probably past experience that we know how painful it is. It is very painful when a tailor disappoints you. It's very painful. So because I know how painful it is, I don't do it to people. I will tell you in advance, it's not going to be ready. So it's either you leave it or you don't leave it. And then sometimes when I started, people felt I'm really called proud, and it's not because we are being proud. It's just to be it's an integrity issue,
right,
for me actually. That if I tell you you will collect your clothes on Friday 2 p.m., you should collect your clothes 2 p.m. It means that clothes should be ready by 12.
Were you married when you started your fashion line?
Yes.
Okay. This brings me to...
I knew she had somewhere.
Where you were actually thinking of bringing something to the table when you started your fashion line. You felt, look, you had to do more. Was that it?
No, it's a passion for me. Like I said, I just wanted to fulfill my dream, my life dream, and then because I wanted to make impact, it's not a pressure of bringing something on the table. Of course, a woman should. This is Nigeria. We all know how the economy is. You can't depend only on a man. It's not because the man is not enough, but 3 months ago, Congo of rice was 500. It's 1,000 naira now, and probably the guy's salary did not increase. So you just have to find a way of surviving. You have children. You can't be looking at your children and saying, "Hey, salary that you just have to find a way of surviving."
How do you juggle? How do you juggle the home front with your work?
I actually work from home. My sitting room is my work room.
Okay.
So it makes it a little bit easier for me. So what I just do is wake up pretty early, take my child to the school, and then do my work. The school is not too far. Go pick him up, do one or two things, and it's not like it's easy, but it's still better than if I have a shop somewhere that I have to run to and do the triangles kind of thing. So it's not that tasking. I'm still in my child's life and still at home.
Oh boy, I wish we had more time with Mrs. Adediji. But sadly, we have run out of it with her, and but we are not done on the mid-morning show just yet. Let's not go without saying thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me
on the show. Yes, well, Mrs. Adediji, that's Mrs. Omobolale Adediji, is an entrepreneur. She owns her own fashion outfit, and she has been doing very well. We hope that you continue in that stride. Well, stay with us on the mid-morning show. Tosin,
we'll go for a break right now, and we'll be back with our second guest.